Welcome back, Greetings to Cruel Noise. We have a special presentation for you today. A conversation I had a few weeks back with Bill Chamberlain of many bands, as we will discuss. Pretty straightforward. We'll get right into it, and I'll see you in the coming weeks with other music podcasts, and then I have another conversation that I did with the band Why Die, which will probably be up by the end of the year. But until then, enjoy this. Bye-bye. The best place, I think, to start would be the start. Where did you come from?
From Connecticut originally, right outside of New Haven, in a city called Meriden, which is like 70,000 people, something like that. Yeah, I pretty much considered New Haven to be like home base, though.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, like, in your youth, was anyone in your family, like, musical?
Yeah, my dad was. Yeah. He died when I was 11, but he had guitar and I think harmonica, and he would sing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is he like into blues, rock?
He was into like Everly Brothers and Glenn Campbell. And I remember my mom was into the Beatles, but my dad was more country, I guess, than that.
Okay.
In a way. I mean, Glenn Campbell played a lot of different kinds of music.
Yeah, certainly.
So, yeah.
There's plenty of records to prove that.
Yeah.
Did you have any siblings or anything?
Yeah, I have two sisters.
Older, younger?
They're both younger.
Younger? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like any like formative music like that was like maybe the first, even like a song or a record or something that you were?
Oh, it was the Beatles.
The Beatles? Yeah. Cool. Like on the radio or your mom listening to it?
Yeah, both, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Paperback Writer on the bus ride to school all the time, and I always thought that was a good song. I still think it's a good song.
I would agree.
Yeah. And so yeah, that, and besides that, there's a lot of kids' music in there too, but the Beatles were the first and like really made an impact.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you start playing guitar when you were younger, or did you just like it was in the corner around somewhere and you just picked it up? Or?
Yeah. I started playing my dad's acoustic, and I kept saying I want my own guitar. What I meant was I wanted this Stratocaster that I saw on the wall in a music shop. And my dad got me an acoustic guitar, which was fine. It was a Stella acoustic guitar, which is a pretty cheap one. You know, but for a kid to learn on, I don't think it's so bad. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly not.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have formal guitar lessons until I was about 12, and I got an electric guitar.
Cool.
Yeah. And but then I took the worst guitar lessons, and it's like he tried to teach me stuff, but I couldn't see where I would use what he was teaching me. So it didn't make any sense, and I didn't like doing it. All I knew is that if I took two fingers and I could kind of make a chord and play fast.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I stopped taking guitar lessons. Yeah.
What were you wanting to play?
I think at that point it was probably like David Bowie and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And yeah, I was so in the Beatles and
Mm-hmm.
you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the music store that had the Strat on the wall?
I think it was Baldwin Music on Main Street in Meriden. It was something like, no, it was the Music Box. It was on Colony Street in Meriden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When's the last time you thought about that place?
Oh, jeez. Long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where you took lessons too?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like around that time you're into Bowie, at what point do you hear like the next thing, whether that be before punk or in between punk, if there was some sort of like...
Okay, right about that time, my dad died. And we went to the beach. My mom just said, we're going to get away for a week. And she rented a cottage on the shore. And we went, and there was a record store right near where we were staying. And I'm like, could I have some money? There was also, this was in the days when you would rent a cottage and it would have a record player in it.
Yeah.
So she gave me $10, and I went and bought 2 records. I bought Black Sabbath
Nice.
and the Grateful Dead. And I put on Sabbath, and which it was Master of Reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this is amazing. This is kind of what I've been searching for the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put on the Grateful Dead. This is not good.
Yeah.
So that was the last time I purposefully owned a Grateful Dead record.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Sabbath led me into stuff like Queen
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even know, Deep Purple and all that kind of stuff. And I really got into that 70s hard rock.
Yeah.
I still like it.
Do you still have that Sabbath record?
Yeah, I do. It's right up here somewhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was that the first record that you bought, or before that?
No, I bought records I bought before that was a few Beatles records, the Partridge Family record,
Mm-hmm.
which was like my favorite, the Partridge Family.
Yeah. Catchy tunes.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have many records before that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But then that followed Sabbath and Queen, and I got into Alice Cooper, which also led me to checking out like Detroit's type stuff eventually, like Iggy Pop, and I was into the New York Dolls, Grand Funk, and for a while that's all I would listen to. New York Dolls, Iggy Pop, and Grand Funk Railroad.
It's a good trio.
Yeah, and I mean, I would always listen to Sabbath in there, and I still do.
Yeah.
And I still listen to all those bands too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I listened to that for quite a while, and then I remember watching on the news when the Sex Pistols started happening, and
Mm-hmm.
our Sex Pistols are touring the country, and I was like, this is kind of scary. I don't know whether I should be into this or not, you know? But then I heard a Ramones record, and I was like, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that, and my friend, when Sid Vicious died, my friend's sister said, "That's it. I'm not going to be a punk anymore." She's the only other person I knew who listened to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she just gave me all her punk records, which was a bunch of Ramones, Sex Pistols, and Germs, GI. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Is that where you first heard the Ramones, or did you hear it
I heard it before that.
on like college radio or something?
On some radio station. I don't remember whether it was college or... I just remember the guy kept playing it.
Yeah.
He kept playing the Ramones on the radio.
Yeah.
And it was like the same song, and he just kept playing it.
I mean, I've been there before.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible and infectious band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Would that be like from the self-titled record, do you remember, or something?
It was from Rocket to Russia.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So then you were the last punk standing.
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, which was in like 1978.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know anybody who liked it for years. And I met a couple guys who said they liked punk and they liked hardcore, and I'm like, what's this hardcore thing?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, and they brought me over some Black Flag records and stuff like that, and I was like, whoa. And when I heard Rise Above by Black Flag, it basically changed the way I played guitar and the way I thought about music. And,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, so I was going to see, that was 82 maybe, 81,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. The first time I saw Black Flag, they were touring on Everything Went Black, the
Yeah.
gray album without the name on it, and that was pretty cool. And
Who was singing on that tour?
that was Rollins.
Rollins. Okay.
Yeah. And because they had already had Damaged out.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
But then
My timelines are all askew.
yeah, in between Damaged and My War, they had whatever problems with
Yeah.
the record label.
The unicorn
Yeah.
lawsuit.
Yeah. And yeah, it was the drummer who played with them. I also saw play for DOA, Danzig,
Chuck Biscuits.
and I saw him play for the Dead Kennedys.
Huh.
Dead Kennedys and DOA were touring together,
Yeah.
and the drummer, I don't know whether he got lost. It was in Providence.
Mm-hmm.
And he was late coming back to the show. He went to get something to eat or something.
Yeah.
And they waited an hour and he still didn't show up. And I remember J-Lo getting up on stage going, does anybody know our songs? And then DOA had played right before them. And
Yeah.
I just see the drummer going. And he just went up there and he nailed it. It
Oh,
was amazing. Yeah.
I bet. He's an incredible drummer.
Yeah. for
It's
sure.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the first punk show that you went to, or is there anything before that?
I saw the Clash,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw some other stuff like that wasn't quite as punk,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but the Clash
Yeah.
are certainly punk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clash and Devo. And
Cool.
so the Clash play with the Who. That was weird.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's. I mean, it makes sense. It's two generations of loud
Yeah.
English guitar music.
Yep. And after that, the next punk band I saw was just some punk band, local punk band that I don't know if they ever did anything, nor do I remember their name.
Yeah.
And but I saw something that said punk show, and I went.
You remember where it was at?
It was in New Haven at a place called Ron's.
Ron's.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and that became like the hot punk spot for New Haven in like 1980 era. Yeah.
Was it like a fairly big place? Like a...
No, it was like, I mean, I think it became a pizza place after or something like that.
So not too big.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember what Devo tour that it was offhand?
No.
Fair enough.
It was probably 78, 9, something like that. So
they're probably still in the yellow jumpsuits.
I did see him once in the yellow jumpsuits.
Mm-hmm.
I did see him once with the cone hats.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I'm uncertain. I also saw them once when they were just dressed like doctors or something. I don't know. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a band of many costumes.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's Ron's. What, are there any shows that kind of stick out from Ron's or bands?
No, because I only went there a few times and I didn't really know what I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Until I saw the Plasmatics.
Okay, yeah.
And I saw the Plasmatics. That was actually the first punk show I went to, was the Plasmatics.
Cool.
Plasmatics and Twisted Sister.
Nice. That's a lot of gimmick in one show.
Yes. Yes. That was great. That was at a place called, at the time, I forget what it was called at the time, but then it became the Agora Ballroom and then the Great American Music Hall, and now it's a big health food co-op place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep.
It's always weird to see what the place becomes.
Yeah, and that place, I saw Black Flag there, I saw Dead Kennedys there, Circle Jerk, Sphere, Exploited, Anthrax, Soft White Underbelly, which is Blue Oyster Cult.
Huh.
Yeah, they would just, when they were getting ready to do a tour, they would play a couple shows as Soft White Underbelly because nobody knew who it was except for if you knew or somebody told you or something. So
yeah,
we always used to go see Soft White Underbelly and watch Blue Oyster Cult play what their new set was going to be. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the tickets were always cheap.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. I also remember one time I used to help load in sometimes at this place called Toad's Place in New Haven, and they called me up and said, "Hey, we're having an impromptu show tomorrow. Do you want to come help load in and load out?" I'm like, "Sure."
Mm-hmm.
It was the Rolling Stones.
Wow.
Yeah, playing in a club.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. In what tour was it? I think it was like, I don't even know, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, you stayed and watched.
I watched kind of from backstage, but I couldn't really go out in front. They didn't want us to.
Yeah. Fair
So,
enough.
yeah. Yep. But you can go over here. Yep.
At one point, are there like local bands or people in local bands you take notice of?
Well, I started taking notice of bands like Violent Children
Mm-hmm.
and No Milk on Tuesday and a few others, CIA, but I got into a lot of trouble around then,
Uh-huh.
and I had to go away
Fair enough.
for a while.
Yeah.
And so I didn't start going to shows till like 86 after that,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And maybe it was, I forget exactly. I think it was, I was not around from like 84 to 86.
Yeah.
And yeah, and also at around that time I discovered this new thing called thrash metal with Metallica and Slayer and
Yeah.
all those bands, and I was kind of equally into both.
Yeah.
And until Metallica's fourth album, which still had some good songs on it,
Yeah.
I thought.
Injustice for All.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's
And-
definitely a change there.
yeah. And then the next album, I was just like, all right, I'm not listening to this anymore. And I just fully went, basically listening to, I mean, I would still listen to that stuff, but I wasn't going to any shows or
Yeah.
anything like that, just punk shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When would have like a Motorhead came into your realm?
Well, this is a good story, too. Motorhead had played a few shows in, like, New York and Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
but I saw them at the first show of their first U.S. tour.
Really?
Yes, opening for Ozzy. The Springfield Civic Center in Springfield, Massachusetts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Had you heard them before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And I liked Motorhead. I've always liked Motorhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great.
They were so loud. They were so loud in that place. Oh my God. And like I'm in the front against the stage,
Yeah.
so I'm just getting amps
Oh yeah.
at me. And at the end for the encore, like all of a sudden I see all these lights above me start spinning and stuff, and I look up and I see the big structure over all of us all of a sudden go and drop, but it was the bomber.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Did
But that was
freak
cool.
you out?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just thought the scaffolding was falling on me for a second.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like something that's never happened before.
Yeah, and if you've never seen it, it's like real jerky when it starts to come down.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's breaking or something. Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
When you came back to punk, I imagine the scene had changed quite a bit in that time.
Yeah. Yes. That's when like there started being a lot of straight edge stuff, and I wasn't straight edge then, and I wasn't into it. And when I stopped with all that stuff, I still didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's just something about I mean, I'm not talking about bands like Minor Threat.
Yeah, more like Youth of Today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they're was from the same area I'm from.
Of course,
and,
yeah.
It's that militant, straight edge stuff that I have a hard time with.
Yeah.
It's like punk, to me at least, is about being who you are, not what somebody else is going to tell me.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be turned into like religious ideology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And Youth Today's playing here tonight.
I know. Yeah. Funny enough.
Yep.
Yeah. When did you start playing in bands or jamming with people?
My first band was in 1982. Yep. And we were some weird combination of like punk and metal and hard rock.
Uh-huh.
Unless we got really drunk. And then we could have passed for like 90s crust band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember what that was called?
Well, our first name was Metallica.
Yeah.
In 1982.
Mm-hmm.
And then Metallica, the real Metallica, came out.
Yeah.
Well, they were probably already out, but
yeah,
they got big after that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we weren't that good.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way we were,
Yeah. Where did you come upon the name Metallica from?
We were just talking about what we wanted to have for a sound, and we said we wanted to be like metal, and then I don't remember exactly how it came up, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's even other, besides the band you were in, and besides the one that we know, there are even other Metallicas.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not the craziest, most original name of all time.
So you want to know what our next name was?
Of course.
It was Death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Band names are a tough thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
They don't make it easy.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many good, I mean, not just bands named Death, how many good bands named Death are there?
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, there's two great ones, like the Florida death metal band and the Detroit proto-punk band.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure there's at least 42 other bands named Death that we could find a song of online right now.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever see the Vatican Commandos?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were really good. That was, I forgot whether I saw them at Ron's or I saw them at the Grotto.
Mm-hmm.
But they were good. They were really good. I saw them with No Milk on Tuesday, I think. And I don't remember who else.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, like, in that time of seeing, like, the Vatican Commandos and CIA and stuff, are you buying these bands' records?
I had the Vatican Commandos, one of their 7-inches.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I was buying drugs at the time. So, yeah.
Yeah. They, drugs are just so appealing.
Yeah.
When you're young and you don't, you got having to deal with life.
Yeah. Yeah, but then you learn.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Yeah. I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I believe it. That's unfortunately the hard way is sometimes maybe not the best way, but the could be the most impactful
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Well, it boils everything down to black and white.
Yeah.
At least it did for me, where
Yeah.
it's like, you either do drugs, and this is your life. Maybe you get AIDS, because AIDS was coming out then, and
Yeah.
maybe you die, or you're going to be in prison.
Yeah.
So, yeah. None of which I wanted.
No.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that
yeah.
none of those things happened to you.
Yeah.
That didn't become your permanent life path.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Although I'm still battling hepatitis C from the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah. But another 4 weeks and I'm supposed to be cured. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It just, I think it makes me tired sometimes. So,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Something fighting against your body from the inside.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been sober since the 80s then?
87, 88.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Sober longer than I was using drugs for.
Probably for the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think that would ever happen. You
Yeah.
know, when I first started trying to, be clean.
Yeah.
But
It's hard.
it is hard, but it's worth it.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So 88, you're getting yourself back into the fold. Straight edge, militant straight edge, hard line.
Yeah.
When do you reincorporate yourself with playing in bands and stuff?
We started a band called TSS.
Yeah.
And we were together for a few years. It seemed like we would always play with some of the same bands.
Mm-hmm.
And one time we decided, why don't we... a band didn't show up at a gig at Bard College in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, why don't we make a band? So we did a band that was all Discharge and Cro-Mags covers.
Yeah.
We called ourselves Genetic Mistake.
Cool.
Yeah. And when TSS broke up, we made that into a band called Brutally Familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when that band actually started touring and stuff. And the Pist started shortly after that.
Yeah.
And so we would tour together, and I'd just play in both bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Where were those first tours? Where were you going?
We did the entire country. The first tour, I think we didn't have many shows, but we managed to play at Gilman Street, and I think some of our best gigs were Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
With Ausrat and Submachine.
That adds up.
I forget who else. But that was Jay from Submachine set that up where he used to live. He wasn't in Submachine at the time, but it was at Moose Lodge or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good show.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that's when we started our connection with Pittsburgh, and also had a connection with a lot of people in Arizona as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. And the second tour, I think we did like a proper full U.S. Yeah. Whereas the first tour was 18 shows wherever we could get them, and kind of managed to not lose too much money.
Yeah.
And get all the way across and back.
Yeah. I mean, it's a feat in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with advances in technology, it's still, they don't make it easy.
No.
Yeah.
But one thing that's great about now is, I mean, our phone bill for booking a tour was $300.
I believe that.
And now it's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All you need is an internet connection, which you can get from a coffee shop or a library if need be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. That was great. And it seems in some ways it's easier to book shows now. Although I think there's probably other drawbacks that we didn't have that are there now. I can't think of anything, but I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the price of gas.
The price of gas.
Yeah.
There's more subcultures for youth to be into.
Yeah, there's more shows in every city, so like you may be able to get a show, but like say you got a show tonight in Philly.
Yeah.
You got Youth Today playing,
Mm-hmm.
Then you got a show at Cousin Danny's with some DB bands and stuff, you know.
There's probably at least a show happening somewhere in South Philly.
Yeah.
Some, whatever, vaguely punk adjacent groups. Yep. Who knows what else is happening?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like everybody's gonna be going to your show.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. What was the first record that you played on? Or what band?
I think it was Brutally Familiar. What the heck was that record called? I forgot. But yeah.
You guys put it out yourself, or did someone else put it out?
No, we put it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. We put out the first probably 7 records I was on. I at least had something to do with putting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would this be under the guise of a label, or was it just like, this is the record put out by the band?
No, we did a label called Eugene Records.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, I mean, I know you've seen Decline of Western Civilization.
Yeah.
And you know that the bald kid who talks all kinds of wacky nonsense in it? Well, next time you see it, just watch it, underneath it flashes Eugene. And we use that where the name flashes in his head.
Yeah.
And that was our logo.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
So then the Pist at some point, TSS breaks up?
Yeah, TSS broke up before those bands start. Well, Brutally Familiar, I guess we were jokingly messing around playing while TSS was a band.
Yeah.
Nothing serious, just kind of for ourselves, making up songs that sounded like either Discharge or the Crow Eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then TSS broke up, and we became a real band. And then shortly after that, we played a bunch of shows. And it was good. But I also had a desire to do something more just straight up punk.
Yeah.
And that's when the Pist started. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep. And then Mankind started shortly after that, and it was all three at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is it safe to assume you played at least some shows with all three bands ever?
Yeah. A couple, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was okay, but I don't think I necessarily want to. Because the Pist and Mankind were almost the same band, just Al, instead of singing, played bass.
Yeah.
And we had a different drummer. And Rick, instead of playing bass, played guitar. We both played guitar. And I did some singing, and then we had Chris and Stacy who did some singing.
Yeah.
Who were like the lead singers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know about. I mean, it was cool because we didn't have the bands at the time in the scene to, yeah, there wasn't a lot of punk. There was a lot of pop punk or straight edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we probably fit more in with the pop punk people.
More fun, I'm sure.
Yeah. Because, we're talking pop punk, like Lookout Records style.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. At what point does Broken come into the fold of this? Its bands are rising and falling.
Brutally Familiar had broken up. Mankind had broken up. I was just in the Pist. And I was always driving Broken to all their gigs.
Yeah.
And one time I think Jim said, "Why don't you just play guitar with us?" And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Makes sense if you're already there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I always had a lot of fun going to see him, so,
Yeah. Were you the guy with the van?
Yeah.
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 I'm sure you put a lot of miles in that case.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Trying to think. I have notes. Devastation. So
Yeah.
that would be like...
Devastation was... The Pist was still around on our very last legs.
Yeah.
I think Devastation had our first couple of practices. And the Pist went on tour and came back and broke up, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was 95, 96. Yeah.
Not long after Ideals Are Bulletproof.
Yeah.
That'd be...
Yep.
Like after that, assumably you put this record out and then you do a tour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Came back and we all lived together, and when I tour, I think that I can be a little melancholy at times and get a little depressed.
Yeah.
And I think that at that time, at least, maybe I wasn't the most pleasant person to be around.
Yeah.
So I'll take the blame for that.
That's fair.
And, I love them guys, and we get along. it just had to. We just needed to not be in a band that played and toured so much, you know, and lived in the same house. That was it. If we didn't live in the same house, probably would have been okay.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. You need space.
Yeah.
From people, even if they're people you love, especially like it's a very particular thing to be that close with someone, to go on tour with people you see. Like, it adds a whole other dimension of friendship. Like, walls come down. It's more like the people become your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
You know, you see the best and worst of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Devastation was around for a little while, but our bass player didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
And Nate took a job in California, so so at our last gig, I played bass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just so we could get through it.
Yeah. Does React start after that?
Yeah, right after.
Right after.
Maybe not the next day, but you know. Yeah.
2 days later, though.
Yeah. Me and Pete enjoyed playing together because our first drummer was Donnie, who played drums for Mankind. He was in lots of other bands like Seizure. He sang for Seizure. Played bass for the Wussies, I think. Yeah. And he was our first drummer, but he was in another band called Kitty Badass.
Yeah.
Which was and another band too after that, and they were more like maybe the Muffs or something like that.
Okay.
Really good.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Muffs.
Yeah. And so and then Pete joined Devastation, and we liked playing them together so much that when Devastation broke up, I think we sat around for a week and we started calling each other, going, let's do something.
Yeah.
And we put the band together with basically Deformed Conscience, with me instead of John.
Sorry, making notes to myself. So at this point, Rotten Agenda has put out records for bands you've been in. You like already mentioned like the Pittsburgh playing with Osrotten and Submachine, that being like good. Obviously, your friends.
Yeah.
At what point are you captured into the fold of Osrotten?
Well, I moved to Pittsburgh. I just wanted to get out of Connecticut, and I loved Pittsburgh, and I still love Pittsburgh. So I moved there knowing that I was going to start a band with Corey and Eric.
Yeah.
And we started Caustic Christ.
And
then Osrotten was still around, but kind of not playing as much.
Yeah.
But they asked me to join, and like, I'm going to say no, they're my favorite band.
Yeah.
So I think I managed to play 5 shows before they broke up, you know. It's hard for me to consider myself being like a full-fledged member of the band, you know. You know, definitely consider Ajax
Yeah.
the second guitar player.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
assumably so.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was an existence of Caustic Christ while Osterrotten were still
Yeah.
together. Were you guys like were playing shows and?
I think we were just. I don't know if we played any shows at that point. We might have, but we, you know, we just started working on songs and everything.
Yeah.
And yep. So I'm the Yoko Ono of Osterrotten.
Wow. I wouldn't have.
Not really.
Yeah. I got you. It was the Caustic Christ lineup. It was just immediately that right off the bat.
No, we had a different drummer, Ron. He got hit by a car on the Bloomfield Bridge and got really hurt bad. And I think that was, he never played drums after that, as far as I know.
Well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then we didn't know exactly what we were going to do, and I think we saw Greg and just said, you want to fill in? We have a show with whoever we had a show with. It was somebody good, like Conflict or something, and Greg filled in, and just like, it was just, you know, kind of felt like it meant to be.
I can't imagine what it sounds like with someone else playing drums.
Yeah, it was nowhere near as good with Ron. No offense to Ron.
Yeah, certainly not.
Greg made the band. So,
he's a killer drummer.
Yeah.
And a lot of those drum parts on the records are like riffs in and of themselves.
Yes.
You know, they're super memorable.
Yep.
Yeah. Sign of a good drummer. There's like a hook. There's a hook in the drum. It's not just like not that I don't love that, but yeah. So that you guys played shows with Ron.
Yeah, not too many. I'm gonna say probably 6 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at some point you break up Osterrotten, and
yeah.
And then how is like, so Caustic Christ is already happening, Osterrotten, it's happening, Osterrotten breaks up, and then how does Behind Enemy Lines come into the fold of this?
I think Dave and Matt just asked me, and I said, "Oh yeah, sure."
Yeah.
You know, because Caustic Christ was one thing.
Yeah.
And Behind Enemy Lines was, you know, they don't sound like each other.
Not at all.
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
there's a not really any like sonic overlay beyond the like the jumping off point of hardcore punk.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's why I've been in a couple bands all the time, because I like so much stuff and I want to play so much stuff, and I write different kinds of songs.
Yeah.
So, like, one of the bands I'm in now is much more varied. We play stuff that sounds kind of like the Misfits, all the way to stuff that sounds like Zounds, stuff that sounds like Osterrotten.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it does sound like us. You wouldn't hear it and go, "That's whoever."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
and you wouldn't hear it and go, oh, that sounds like the other band that I'm in. Even though the other band I'm in has 3 of the same people. It's 3 of us in both bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The band you're referencing are Brood and Dissidents?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yep. And we're both recording soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you gave me the Dissonance tape when
Yeah.
we were... And I saw you at a photo club over
Right.
the summer. It's good.
Cool.
Yeah, I dug it.
Good.
You're doing a 7-inch or an LP?
We are doing a split 7-inch with this band from Manchester, England called Virulent Response.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit different for us because they're kind of a crust band.
Yeah.
And we listen to that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think our side of the 7-inch is gonna sound like Zounds, and I mean, we got to pick out the songs exactly.
Yeah.
We're doing one cover. Yeah, so we're doing that, and then depending on how much time we have, we'd like to do a 12-inch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll be able to do a 12-inch 45 speed.
The best style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for that. And the Brood's doing a LP for Armageddon.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Was there ever any weirdness of being in Caustic Christ and behind enemy lines at the same time?
Yeah.
I mean, there just has to be. That's like,
Yeah.
that's so much personality
yes.
between Corey, Eric, and Dave. And I like all of these people.
Yeah, I love all of those guys.
Yeah. I just don't know Dave
Yeah.
well. Corey and Eric, I like know them well, and I love them, you know.
It was weird because I didn't want to like favor one band more than the other band.
Yeah.
I know one time Dave didn't say anything, but I got the idea. I said, we were talking about something, and I was like, oh, I wrote the best song for Caustic Christ. And I could see him looking at me like, he was probably saying, why didn't you write the best song for us?
Yeah.
But I did. The best song I ever wrote, I think, was for Behind Enemy Lines.
Mm-hmm.
So
What would you say that is?
that's I'm bad with song names.
It's fine, yeah. If you had to tell a member of the band, we're going to play this song, do you have would you just make the noise or play it, or would you be like some code word? You know how you the song on the title, or the title of the song on the record is one thing, but you call it chunks or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like that. I don't remember what we called it, but it was Global Cannibal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, Global Cannibal, that's the song.
Nice.
And that song was weird because I never told Dave what to write about.
Yeah.
But this one time, I wrote the music, and I said to Dave, this is what I was thinking when I was writing it. This is what this song is actually about to me.
Yeah.
Even without words, and then he just put the most perfect words to it.
He's a wordsmith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was pretty amazing, and the way it came together. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Do you remember the Caustic Christ song? That was the best
Yes,
Caustic Christ song.
I do. It's the name of it is. Oh, God damn it! Why can't I remember the name? I'm so bad with names.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna pause real quick and pee.
Yeah.
'Cause I have a baby bladder.
Okay, yeah, so Burned. That's what I consider to be the best Caustic Christ song.
I think I am inclined to agree with you.
Yeah. There's something about when you write a song and you play it and you're just like, even I like this.
Yeah.
You know, and when you wrote it, it's real easy to be super critical of yourself.
Absolutely.
But when you really like it, then you're onto something, I think.
Yeah. When you're like driving home and you're like, it's stuck in your head. You're like, I think I did good this time.
Yes.
Yeah. Did I'm sure Corey did, but did Corey and Eric ever be like, this? I have this idea for this riff for Caustic Christ.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially, there's, unfortunately, Corey wrote, that's like maybe our second best song, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Eric wrote, a couple songs musically, but I forget what they're called. Had a hard enough time remembering the name of a song I wrote.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not gonna hold your feet to the fire for that one. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, obviously Corey playing bass, it's a natural fit to be like, hey, I got this riff.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure. I couldn't imagine Eric not having riffs.
He would come to practice and go, I got this. Yeah. And it'd be like done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a man who knows what he likes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were people surprised at how good of like a standalone front person he was? I mean, not to say that he didn't do vocals in Osterhatten, but just being like, he had such like an unhinged intensity.
I think so. I also think people were surprised by what we sounded like. Yeah. They expected us to sound like Osterhatten, and we sounded more like Poison Idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've faced that with each band I've been in, and then people, there's people who like it, and then you're in the next band, and they're like, oh man, I don't know about this.
Yeah, they just want to talk to you about the old band.
Yeah.
Do you think you guys will play again?
Yeah.
You think,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to not be excited about the thing that you like, and then also for a lot of people it's just hard to not have tact enough to say the thing to the person's face.
Yeah.
To be like,
it's a difficult thing.
Yeah. It happens way more than I ever thought that it would.
Yeah.
Being a kid going to see bands. I don't think I ever did that, but I've I've seen people in situations where I'm just like, oh no. Like you just, and the person just being nice, or like, actually at the Rally Alley one time, Caustic Christ played, and my friend who we would go to the skate park behind it, Butterbeans, and we went to the skate park first, and then Mikey Felice would come flyer at the skate park, and we'd be wearing like a Bad Religion shirt or a No Effect shirt. He'd be like, you guys like punk, you should come to the show.
Yeah.
He'd be like, we don't have money to come to the show. He'd be like, just, I'll let you in. He would let us in. And then he knew he would hook us. And then we would I'd just not eat lunch. I'd take my lunch money for the week and be like, I'll figure something else out.
Yeah.
And now I have my lunch money I can get into. I can go to the skate park and go to a show. And then we would just sleep at the skate park. But anyway, Caustic Christ played, and my friend was super drunk and went up to Eric and was like, I love Osterhatten. Ostrich are the greatest crust band of all time. He was like, thank you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just like, you know, this child drunkenly, like,
Yep.
and Eric was just like, Ostrich were not a crust band.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you were. You're the greatest crust band of all time. He's like, we weren't. We're like a punk band. We're like this, that, the other thing. You know, he just like, his idea of it was, especially by that point, this would be like early 2000s. He knew what it is. He knew what it was. It was set in stone. I'm sure something he would have, the last thing he felt like talking about anyway.
Yeah.
But then like just seeing my friend punish him, and he was like, Eric was nice but stern.
Yeah.
Just like, no, I'm sorry, but no. But it's like a thing that has stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, seeing the like, I like your band, but let me talk to you about, let me drunkenly punish you in the corner about your old band.
Yes.
And not let you have an out of this conversation.
Yep. Yeah. I think that happened to those guys from time to time.
Yeah, it still happens to them, I'm sure.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
happens to me about the Pist. Or it used to happen a lot more, but now that we've been playing,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And you guys are practicing.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
playing some shows, assumably, or?
Well, we eventually will, yeah.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
I think that we'll got something else in the works.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, excited to find out
Yeah.
what it is when it's time. Yeah. So, from Pittsburgh, is that when you moved to Western Mass?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I moved to Western Mass. Rachel got a really good job offer, and it was just like, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had 7 surgeries on my hands too. There, in between Caustic Christ and then, I couldn't even play for 2 years.
It's a long time.
That's a long time.
Sometimes after 2 weeks,
Yeah,
I feel like I can't play.
yeah,
I can't imagine 2 years.
yeah. It was really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm sure that was frustrating,
yeah,
to say the least.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure you don't know about my band in Western Massachusetts.
That I don't think I do.
No. We had, I don't think we ever settled on a real name,
Mhm.
but we were playing shows and sometimes we'd change our name. Our first name that we played under, I think, was Dinosaur Senior.
Nice.
And then we played the rest of the shows we played under the name Anarchy Boys
Mm.
because it was a joke.
I've heard of Anarchy Boys, and I think is it, trying to think if I remember this correctly or not, but I came to Wild Mutation. Is it possible you gave me an Anarchy Boys CD? Like a burned CD
Maybe, or a tape.
or a tape.
Yeah.
Oh, the memories. That was,
Could have been a CD, I guess.
I just can't remember. But I was
Yeah.
expecting not to know it. And when you said it, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a good band.
Mm-hmm.
Dumb name.
Dumb, but kind of great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we played some shows. And then our drummer, who was the drummer for Hoax,
Yeah.
he moved out to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a drummer. And the stage manager for Dinosaur Jr. wanted to, or tour manager or whatever he is, wanted to play drums for us.
Yeah.
But we never did that. And then I moved to Philly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good band and it was fun. And I should probably put out a 7-inch of that because I have it.
Yeah, you might as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
I don't know how many people would want it besides, like 20 people. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Find a market. People love records.
yeah.
Yeah. Ex-members of
Yeah.
all these bands.
Yeah.
When did you... How did you doing Wild Mutation come about?
Well, I had this money from hurting my hands at work.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was going to be able to do much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I still can't play guitar as well as I used to. But I had a little bit of money from that. And when we moved to Massachusetts, I was just like, I found a spot for like $400 a month.
Damn.
And I'm like, yes, I think I can open a record shop here.
Yeah.
So that store is still open.
Nice.
Yeah. So I opened and yeah, that's what I did in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Till we moved here. I loaded everything, not everything, but all the records and stuff from the store into a truck and moved it here into another store.
Yeah, in Fishtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and I sold the business and like all the like record bins and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To a guy in Massachusetts, and he's still doing it.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is it called now?
Now it's called Electric Eye.
Electric
Records.
Eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's in Florence, Massachusetts, which is you got Northampton and Smith College, and then on the other side of Smith College is Florence.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there once.
Ah, cool.
To that show. We played this band that I was in, Radium Girls, played a show that Tony from Squirm set up for us.
Yeah.
And he apparently was feuding with what he told us was the entire DIY punk scene. And it's the only show I've ever played that not a single person came.
Whoa.
It was just the bands playing to each other. And at one point I was like...
I love Tony. I don't know what the hell could have been going on.
Who knows what it was. I didn't pry.
Yeah.
You know? But there was like a kid in the back that I was like, well, one kid came. And then he got up and played in the last band. And then he left. I was like, oh. And they're like, yeah, nobody... I'm sorry, but nobody came. Like, here's, $60 and a case of beer. And we stayed with Tony. And it was, honestly, it was awesome. We played, and we were like, there's no one here. Who cares? Let's just play full force, 100%.
Yeah.
Like every time. There's no reason to not. And then hung out with Tony all night, listening to Turkish psych music and...
There you go.
Having him explain to us the intricate detail how one person could love Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young so much. And his old baseball stories.
Yeah, I love Tony.
Me too.
Awesome.
He's a truly incredible human being.
Did he? Did you ever listen to the Burt Envelopes stuff he did?
Oh yeah, it's so good. He sent me a tape, a tape that had like, everything on it.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Like during the pandemic, we were sending tapes and records and letters back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came to this past summer. We played in Boston, and he came. I told him, I was like, hey, we're playing in here and in Burlington. Like, I know neither of those places are particularly close, but it'd be great to see you. And he's like, I don't think I can come. I'm sorry. And then he just showed up at the show in Boston. It was so great. It was like, it was a joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. A great human being.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any records in your tenure of having a record store that you, of your personal records that you sold,
Oh, yeah.
that you are still thinking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took half of my collection
Yeah.
and put it in the store.
Yeah.
Which I think between me and Rachel, we had probably 7,000 records at the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I sold stuff like DI, the one with like guns and Johnny's Got a Problem on it.
Yeah.
Thinking, this record you can get anytime. I need good records.
Yeah, of course.
So I sold that. I sold all the Totalitar 7 inches, which I got all but one back.
Yeah.
I sold, what else did I sell? I'm always running across stuff that I see and go, I wish I didn't sell that.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. But I wouldn't change that I sold them.
Yeah.
So I wish I had them, but I was happy to have a record store for 6 years, and
Yeah. 6 years is a long time
yeah,
to own any small business,
yeah,
let alone a record store.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
A
yeah,
completely insane idea for
Yeah.
anyone to do.
I know.
It's crazy that so many people do it. It's
Yeah.
crazy even it just from the time that I bought Mind Cure from Mikey and started doing it.
Yep.
I mean, I couldn't have done it from scratch.
Yeah.
I was very lucky to have, piggybacked the idea of somebody else or slid into the place of.
Yep.
But 5 record stores have opened up in Pittsburgh. And I don't even. Cool.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh already has a lot of record stores.
Yep.
But it seems like for the most part, everyone's making it work
Yeah.
or doing it. I've stumbled upon one over the summer that I didn't even know was there, just in a
Which
neighborhood.
one's that?
I don't remember what it's called offhand. It's in Lawrenceville, on the way out of Lawrenceville, where Spirit is.
Yeah.
If you would just keep driving away from downtown another 5 minutes,
Yeah.
I go to a parking lot there with one of my friends to skate because no one bothers us.
Right.
And I was saw on a window the 45 adapter.
Right.
And I was like, is that a record store? And I went in, there was mostly new record, that had some used stuff. I was like, okay. I was like, well, there's another one. The guy was super nice. Got some records, and yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a feeling that if my rent had been more reasonable here,
Yeah.
I'd probably still be open.
Yeah.
Just my rent, it just went up and up and up and up till they wanted $2,000 a month, and
Yeah. It wasn't a huge space.
no, and $2,000 a month. What about something for me?
Yeah, right? It was
Yeah. Yeah.
there's no room for profit.
Yeah, how are you going to buy records
Yeah.
if you have to pay that much out and pay yourself or pay the people I had working there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And plus, this is the worst part about that whole ordeal is they tore down a house across the street
Yeah.
and forgot to cap off the sewer, and all these rats came out. And my neighbor said, I watched this herd of rats run and start going under your basement door and stuff, and I'm like, all of a sudden, the store and the house next door, we got rats like crazy.
Yeah.
And Yeah. It was, and they were eating, like I had thousands of records in the back that weren't gone through yet, and I start pulling them off, and they're like eating and stuff.
Yeah, like I was just gonna ask if they're like
Yeah.
eating around the edges of sleeves and stuff. That's insane.
Yeah, and and then he came in and he's like, "I'm gonna have to raise the rent again." I'm like, he's like, "Do you want to re-up your lease?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna have to think about it."
Yeah, $2,000 rat nest.
Yeah, and I was like, "I'm not gonna." And then and the pandemic hit, and I'm like, "Nah,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it."
Yeah.
So
Weird times.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I had gone full force into selling on Discogs right when the pandemic started,
Yeah.
but I didn't, because I had all the stuff in storage
Mm-hmm.
until I moved here.
Yeah.
And then I set it up in the basement, and now I got, yeah.
Another one of these down there.
Well, I've got 7 of these down there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So legitimately a record store in the basement.
yeah. And we had a flood down there, which was horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm just like, I go through stuff every day. I make sure I list a certain amount of stuff every day,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like Discogs has some kind of algorithm. The more you list, the more you sell.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, but not if you just go, okay, I'm going to list 5 a day.
Yeah.
And you sell a lot more than if you take a week off.
Huh.
And if you go on vacation and take everything down,
Yeah.
and then put it back up, all of a sudden you'll get like 40 orders.
Yeah. You know what? I noticed that when I was first doing the store, and I was like trying to figure out how, what, why, it all works, because I just like jumped into it, and I opened the door on the first day, and that was it. I knew how to ring it up. I had a general idea from doing a small distro, but then like anyway, I would sell stuff on Discogs, and then at the end of the month you pay their fees or whatever. But I was drinking super heavily at the time, and was like, well, I can't even afford to pay these fees until next week. So they would shut the account down, and then when I paid it and they opened it back up, all those things are relisted, and people would start buying them. And I was like, at one point I was just like, I am going to be late on my fees every month on purpose. So they take it down and put it back up, because it sends people an email like 27 new records from your want list. And I was like, oh, it's like, there's this little degenerate cheat code is working. But now it's a whole other thing.
The more you list is like, it's got to be the same thing. You list, and one guy will see a record he wants, and then see that you have a bunch of other ones he wants too. And like, I have so many 7 inches for like $2, $3, but people will buy 10 at a time.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, I don't buy off Discogs very much. But if I you get it in your head like, I need this record, or like you like, how much is this record going for? You look up, you see it at a good price, and then it's like all those 7 inches are like the candy bars at the checkout of the grocery store. You're like, oh, it's right here. It's
I gotta
cheap.
pay postage anyways.
Yeah, right. It makes sense. Just I'll get that. Cool. Well, is there anything else you'd like to impart upon the world currently?
Not that I could think of.
Yeah, cool. What is there anything you've heard? This will be the last thing I ask of you. Is there anything you've heard recently that you've been excited about? Or
yeah, there's this band Verdict
mm-hmm.
from Sweden. They have an album called Time to Resign. And it's got people from Totalitar and Dischange and Dysphere and
say no more.
No Security. And
yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
The new Long Knife record.
I have not heard it. I don't know what.
Sick.
You know what? It came out as Pete Stocks were trying to finish writing an LP and go record.
Right.
And I've just been like, wasn't even doing podcasts for the past month, like the radio show style one.
So you got a new record coming out then?
Yeah, we recorded a week or two ago.
Cool.
All new, or just the music. The music is done early next month. Christina goes in to do vocals.
Cool.
But we're doing, our drummer is moving. You know how drummers are. They're wonderful. They're finicky.
Yeah.
They follow their own paths. But, so we're like, before you move on December 1st, we will write and record an LP and an EP.
Yeah.
And we'll just have it. We'll have it, and with the way that records come out now, taking so long, it's like, if two different labels put out these records, they're probably not going to come out within 6 months of each other anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's been a total, like, nose to the grindstone, trying to beat the clock.
Yeah.
Which after we were done recording, we were like, the drummer looked at me because he was like, wasn't telling us how tense he was about it.
Yeah.
And he was like, we did it. He's like, I honestly wasn't sure if we would pull it off.
Yeah.
But we did. And I think it'll be, I'm excited. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. Being in bands is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but what's anything else new that I really like? The Bombardment record. It's really good.
Oh yeah, I've seen that, but I've not listened to it.
I actually got a bunch of records here that are the Subversive Right LP.
Oh yeah, that LP is great.
Yeah. This French New Wave comp.
Huh.
It's sick.
BIP with 3 P's, huh?
Yeah. It's like French New Wave bordering on punk.
Yeah, I love that. Oh yeah.
Whatever this is
I
called.
have no idea how to say that, but it's great.
Yeah.
Like I'm waiting for someone that knows what it's called.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't even tried. I did a radio show style podcast this week. A Sedition
discography. Syndrome 81.
Yeah, that band is great.
Good.
They're from France, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's
the Long Knife LP. They played in Pittsburgh, and I don't remember. I don't think I didn't go, and I think it might have been when we were recording.
It was
it's like a week ago.
Yeah.
Super recently.
I didn't go either because I forget why.
Yeah.
But I didn't go here either.
They're great. I mean, I've seen them before, and they're wonderful.
The Totalitar discography.
Yeah. Must have.
And Knife Eater.
Yeah.
Which is really good. That's Disrupt and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you for doing this with me.
Sure, thanks for asking.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's a pleasure. It's always good to talk to you, and I'm a curious person, so.
Yeah?
Yeah. And that's it. see you in a couple weeks with another conversation, this time with Why Die. They play a bunch of songs. And yeah, there will be more of these in the future as always, sometimes slower, sometimes faster. Thanks for coming along for the ride. All right, have a good life. Bye-bye.